Thank you. Good evening. I've got a wide variety of things here, but I will piggyback on the Smarter Balance. And in my building, it was the 8th grade math students that did the Smarter Balance pilot, and once again, that we are piloting the test, but we learned just tons and tons of stuff from it. So I want to say thank you to the math teachers, and actually Mrs. Harmling, she was the key organizer in my building along with Sarah Sigmason, but she had a test student, so Rachel was really, really instrumental in helping me with that. Our goal as a building is in the month of May, 7th grade students, because they didn't have an opportunity to pilot it, they weren't selected, so we're going to get our 7th grade students here in May after we're done with the math testing, be exposed to the questions that are on that and work with them so that they have at least a general idea for next year, so we're moving forward with that. We just, last week Thursday, had a wonderful opportunity. We took an all-school field trip and we went down to the Body Works. It was just an outstanding, I mean, God, what a wonderful experience for those kids, you know, at a cheaper price than a family could take their whole family there, because it is expensive to go to the museum and park and all the things. Mrs. Henskin, kudos to her. She was the key organizer, but obviously all of my teachers are involved, and Jenny actually wrote a fossil fuel grant where we got an extra $500 to help with the busing and so forth, and the entrance into the museum. So the kids put together, I should say the kids were in charge of doing some work as they were in the museum. In fact, we had one of the people from the museum come up and say, I think that you should give that packet that you put together to Body Works. They could be part of it when they take it around to the different places they take their exhibits, because of the engagement that our students needed to have with all the different displays, because they needed to answer questions and then do some higher level reflecting that is followed up in the classrooms this week and last Friday. So once again, we had a few students that, you know, we had to take out because it's different looking at bodies like that, but it was very good, and they had to write some things on, you know, so real world things. Do you donate your body to science? Do you not? Why do you? What? So some very good thought things that had to take place. I want to say thank you to Ms. Zilke. She is my FIA teacher, and she did Red Out, which was a couple weeks ago, where we really focused on the heart in health class, and then in the gym, and then anybody that had the red shirt on that they could purchase or their parents could. She actually brought in someone to do Zumba. So on 8th hour, we had kids down in the gym. You can see it on our webpage. Kids are doing Zumba. Boys, I mean, we had people that, you know, sometimes I wonder why they don't like to be engaged in FIA, just all excited about doing Zumba in the gym. So we had that going on. I want to say thank you to Mr. Brosnick, Mr. Weil, Mrs. Cassenberg, Mr. Dean, Mr. Bohr, Mrs. Dietz, and Mrs. Buchanero, my special ed teacher. They all gave up to come back for Explore Night. We invited the 8th grade parents in to get the results, and this is actually the only time that you have in life where you can actually take the test and the questions you got wrong and actually look in the test booklet and reference out to see if I just don't know it or if I just made an error as they move into the high school. So we had that go on, I think it was last week. I don't know, I get the weeks mixed together right now, but it just happened just lately. This Thursday, we're doing our community service, where we'll be out in the afternoon picking up the garbage and things that are in the community. Mrs. Henskin, the science department, has that split up across the whole Waterford community, where we'll be out, we'll be visible. We work with the village, and we'll be collecting garbage, and that is our way of giving back to all the fine things that the community helps us with. I have the drug dogs through the building, and we practice obviously the lockdown, but we still can teach during that lockdown. And we had the dogs go through the building several weeks ago. Proud to say that, you know, the building was clean. Wanted to say thank you on that. Mrs. Nelson and Mrs. Kulo spent a Saturday with many of our band and choir students as they tried out for honors band and choir. They will not know the results of that. That comes down the road here, and then they'll be part of that at the level, and we'll be notified if we had students do that. But both Mrs. Kulo and Mrs. Nelson donated their time to do that. One thing that I think is kind of cool this year, I wanted to recognize my two Spanish teachers, Mrs. Shannon and Mrs. Riel. Something new this year, we have put in place some reading and speaking in Spanish, and we ordered out a book, and this is all in Spanish. You're welcome to take a look at it if you like. And it's just so cool to go into the rooms and listen to these kids reading books out loud in Spanish with comprehension, understanding it, vocabulary. but this is part of our TPRS series that we're doing, the way we teach vocabulary in Spanish. And I just go in there and sit down and listen to these kids read books in Spanish, and I don't even know half the words, but it's just really cool. They're really proud to read for me, so kudos to those two ladies of where they're taking our Spanish program. It's really exciting. The final thing that I need to let you board know, and just very, very excited and proud that once again, kudos to Mrs. Nelson. I do know she's here tonight, but our band has been invited to UW Whitewater. And there's only 3 to 4 bands in the state of Wisconsin that are chosen, and we will be there having an opportunity. It's on May 1st, and we will be playing, and each band sits through the other band's performance, and our band is critiqued, and they are part of a clinic. I believe Franklin's band will be there, Sun Prairie's band, and our band, and this is because I believe of what Mrs. Nelson does with the number of people we send to band camp, the connections she makes, her correspondence across the state of Wisconsin with key people, and what a wonderful experience for our kids to actually be on site, being able to play in the recital hall at UW Whitewater. They will actually then go through the campus like they're a college student to find out what it's like, and then they'll end up eating. The band parents are paying for their meal. They will eat in the dining hall just like they're going to college. So it's going to be a real life experience for them. And once again, there's only we just got invited, and very, very excited about that. So that'll be happening on May 1st, and with the help of Mrs. Nelson and 3 parents volunteering. So I think that's some brief overviews of end of March and April. So any questions?
First one, referring back to Smart Balance, which covers everything. Just what's the phase-in cycle or phase out of KCE? So we touched on that briefly. We get that next year.
Smart Balance kicks in next school year. But the KCE piece for science and social studies still remains. And at this point, as far as I know, science and social studies will still be paper pencil, and the Smarter Balance will all be computerized.
Okay. So I assume Kathy, we're going to get a Smarter Balance correlation next year.
You bet.
Great, thank you. Explorer test, that would be last year for that one
It'll
then?
be the last year for the Explorer test because it's moving up to the Spire up at the high school in 9th grade, so we're dropping that, and then we'll have the map. We are actually moving, talking with Canada today, and reconfirming it. We're going to be moving to testing, we'll be doing map testing on our computers starting next year.
Okay.
So that's part of the, and I know I didn't bring it up, and Mr. Heath said it would, but actually in June, we're going to come to a tech meeting with some proposals we
Are
have.
you going to use your laptops or something?
We're going to use our laptops, correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Instead of a lab.
Correct, yes, so that'll all be done on the laptops.
All right, which leads me to the next one, the Android thing you're going to touch.
Well, yes, we met today, and my building also piloted, Mr. Shu and Mr. Weil did the Google Chrome, the Chromebooks, and we've got some positive feedback from the teachers. We are looking at, once again, we're going to come to the June meeting with you with some things to think of into the future for some long-term planning, because you're right, in the year of 2015-16, we'll need to be putting in, phasing in some new computers over at Fox River. We want to talk about that at the next tech committee meeting in June, so we asked Mr. Yoke to put us on the committee for that. And then just talking about what that might look like. I'll bring you some data from teachers, from students, and some things that Mr. Heath and his department have talked about with it, and some things that Mrs. Harmon and I have, and we can move forward on that in June for some long-term planning.
Okay, great. Other than that, I want to again thank Mr. and Mrs. Nelson. You guys do great for this community, so thank you very much. And our band and everything else shows for us, so thank you.
I'd just like to suggest possibly looking at satellite, some kind of Samsung type device. Tablet or tablet, yeah.
Well, thank you all for your uplifting reports. Was any consideration given to getting any of the younger students to Body Works?
Well, I don't think so, because the reason why, it ties directly into our life science curriculum, which is in the 7th grade. 6th grade is more with electricity, physical science. So we try to make the correlation with the content so we can, so it's actually, we're doing things there, so it really aligns. And then it aligns with our 8th grade with health and some of the things with that. So actually, as I was there, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense, and I'm not sure about taking it lower. Once again, I don't want to speak for lower grades, but I just know some of our 7th graders, it was a lot for some of them too. And when you think about what you're doing with it, with a higher level thinking about bodies and what if that's what you do, that's some heavy thinking. Now, is there not some 6th graders that it would be appropriate for? Maybe 5th grade, but probably not that.
The other issue too is I think as you decrease obviously in age, height is an issue and everything is full up
Yeah.
figures, so you'll be sitting way lower.
Correct, and the way they have the cases are up a
Yeah.
little bit higher too. And probably, I don't want to say minimize, but maybe younger, more with their parent, so that parent component can interact with it. Once again, I don't know, just some initial thoughts.
I think those are good thoughts.
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit, but those are keys to kind of